We have a saying around here that goes something like, never underestimate the power of invention. And a lot of times what we're working on, we may be just trying to find a solution for this, but it can spark a new idea for that. Everybody knows about how the Post-it note was made, you know. They never wanted a low-tack glue. They invented it by accident. And it's like, gee, what can we use low-tack glue for, right? Next thing you know, it's worth something. Things like that happen in a guitar factory as well, particularly in ours. You know, in the early days, we make necks that we bolt on, the fretboard's glued down. One day we decide, hey, let's try something a little bit different. And we tried it on a Baby Taylor, which was a neck acoustic guitar with the neck fitting into a pocket. It's not the first time that's been done before. You can think of some guitars built back in the 60s and early 70s that were built that way, and most people, you know, thought that was, you know, pretty crude. We did it to learn some things. We did it on our Baby Taylor. It was a guitar that had sort of the freedom to be able to explore some things. That eventually developed into our NT neck, which we had looked at earlier before. It's kind of funny because when we made the NT neck, the thought never, ever, ever occurred to us that in the future we'd be making a pickup, right? Well, when we started making a pickup, we thought, we've got all that space underneath the neck that we can access. And since our neck's not glued on, if we want to house a pickup underneath our neck, you can do that on a Taylor guitar. Would you ever put a pickup under a neck that you've glued on? Now you've got a pickup glued between things? You wouldn't do that in a million years. So your mind would never even go to the thought of hiding a string pickup under the neck of a guitar, because you would instantly know you can't do it. So this invention made way for that invention, right? Okay, so just by simply doing that, here we are. It helps us, you know, the new neck allowed us to help develop a pickup system. Those things seem extremely unrelated. It doesn't really seem like that's a grand design, and it's not. It's really just a stepwise system. Then that ends up bringing us to, oh, well, now we're making pickups and we have necks that come on, and one thing leads to another, and we have a T5, and then we start making, you know, more traditional electric guitar pickups, and we try some more things, but we go all the way back to some of the things that we learned when we were developing an expression system and how we were questioning the way magnetic fields work, and we ended up with new pickups, once again, put together in different ways that sound pretty neat. So one thing really does lead to the other, and you'll see that continuity all the way through. When you look at this neck here on this guitar, it certainly fits into a pocket, but this guitar sort of plays and looks and feels a little bit more like a set neck. And there's one simple bolt that holds it on, and everything really kind of goes back to here, jumps back all the way to the Baby Taylor, jumps all the way back to the earliest guitars with bolt-on necks and fretboards that are glued down. So these things, every single one of them, spark an idea. Sometimes there's machinery involved. You might invent a process just to make something, and then that process has capacity left over. It might just be idea capacity. Hey, we have lasers. We bought a laser to make a rosette on a Baby Taylor. Maybe we could use it for something else. And you know, those types of things, you look around, you see what your resources are, and you figure out how to use them. They spark a lot of creativity. Great. Let me grab this little T5 body here. A lot of people have seen this guitar. It's 2-3 years on the market, and in guitar terms, that's a short time. It takes people a long time to discover the guitars that are on the marketplace. This guitar is really interesting because it's our first step into the electric guitar market. We did it as a hybrid guitar, and again, I mean, look at, you see this pickup underneath the fretboard that's so much like how an expression system guitar is. Actually, the way this guitar came about is we had been making basses at one point in time that were huge. People might remember these AB1 and AB2 basses we made. We used some old school pickup systems on it. Now we had the expression system. We thought, man, would that work on a bass? We put it on a bass. It did work great. This little pickup sounded great. The sensors did. We thought, well, maybe we should make a thinner bass that someone can carry. We made some prototypes, and we got all the way to this sort of acoustic bass thing, and we thought, wonder what would happen if that was a guitar. We put a guitar neck on it, And all of a sudden, it just sort of came alive. Again, it was just experimentation, a little bit accidental. The interesting thing about this guitar is because of the way the body's constructed and the pickups are constructed, what you have is, if you amplify this guitar clean, like with a PA or with acoustic guitar amps, and you set it on certain settings, you get an incredible acoustic sound. But if you amplify it with an electric guitar amp, and then move to the settings that have this humbucker or the neck humbucker under the fretboard, you get great electric sounds. They're authentic, they work, it's very usable. A lot of guys who play in bands love this because they can play real acoustic sounds with it. I mean, you can have an A-B pedal and you come up here, you switch it and you come right through the house, and it sounds as acoustic as a guitar can sound that's plugged in. I mean, it's authentic. You come back here and start going through your different settings and you can start playing electric guitar. So people that don't want to carry a lot of guitars really love this. Some people like it just because they've discovered its voice and they're playing their music with this particular sound. It's an interesting guitar. Again, just a little bit more innovation as we move through the family of Taylor guitars over 35 years. This one came on the scene about 3 years ago. And we've enjoyed a great success with it. I think people should give this guitar a try when they have a chance. The T5 is much the same as an acoustic. We use the exact same principles for neck angles. This one's got a very similar pickup right here that we have same as we have in the acoustic. It's got another one here, and it's got a body sensor in the back here. And it's those three pickups that give the T5 their unique sound. We'll watch Taylor put a neck into one of these. You'll see it's almost the exact same deal. They don't actually measure these with the pistol. They just take a good educated guess at where they're supposed to be. And of course, they get pretty good at knowing where it's going to be. If anyone's wondering what the wood on this guitar is, this is Cocobolo on the top of this one. This system that you see going together on the T5 is exactly what's happening in the solid bodies. Exactly the same neck joint. The bolt that holds the neck in is drilled with what we call an interference fit. In other words, instead of the receptacle and the hole lining up perfectly, they're offset. They don't line up perfectly. So when we put the bolt in and tighten it down, it also, just because of that, not only pulls the neck down, but it pulls the neck forward. And the neck is coming forward onto a V-shaped, almost dovetail type joint, which causes, when there's pressure on it that way, it causes any side-to-side motion totally cease. So one bolt pulls it down, pulls it forward, locks it, and there's no side-to-side play. And we're ready for strings.